There's a lot of opportunity in general aviation, and about every different discipline within aviation that you can imagine, from pilots to air traffic control to engineering, manufacturing, all kinds of things.
I'm an operations engineering technical specialist.
I'm a software engineering manager.
I am a drafter.
I'm a systems engineer.
I'm an airframe and power plant mechanic.
I'm an avionics technician.
I'm a flight test pilot.
I'm a manufacturer assembly.
I'm an aviation systems and programs engineer.
I design the parts.
I install systems on the aircraft and test and perform maintenance.
I modify the aircraft so that way it can be adapted to be mounted on these floats so that they can change the mission of the aircraft.
I work with a lot of customers and a lot of OEMs in defining the right product for the right aircraft.
I create mechanical drawings that are then shipped over to manufacturing.
And we'll have flight tests go fly, and we'll find things that engineering didn't find.
We pay a lot of attention to what pilots say.
There is no typical day.
Problem solving.
Problem solving.
And using problem-solving skills.
I was like figuring out okay, why does that happen?
I troubleshoot problems on the aircraft.
Why does that happen?
So I get to work on complex problems.
So I'll go talk to the operators on the floor, mechanics, see what they're seeing.
Every time I fix something, I just get this sense of adrenaline. I'm like, yes, we got it.
I'm an artist. I like to work with my hands.
To go from just a raw piece of aluminum to seeing a wing and then an aircraft roll out.
You see a brand new plane come in and you tear it down to almost nothing and modify things.
How do we use our engineering skills to make that happen?
And you see the whole airplane come together.
The most gratifying moment is when you see the plane actually leave.
This is somebody's baby.
People really appreciate the effort that you put in to getting their aircraft done.
They really appreciate the hard work that goes into it.
It's fun to see something I've made take off.
People don't treat it like a job anymore. It's my project, it's my program.
I saw one of my airplanes and I was just so excited because I was trying to keep it chill, but I was like, that's my airplane.
It makes me go home feeling like I did something. I just built something pretty sweet.
It's a really exciting time to be in aviation.
There's always a buzz here about what's coming next.
We are a product development company that's driven to innovate.
We're all trying to take that next big step in bringing technology into the smaller cockpit.
We create tools and equipment and resources that crews can use to improve the safety.
You've got three-dimensional models, you've got computer-aided systems, you've got robotics, and you've got skilled technicians all coming together.
I use a lot of AutoCAD 3D modeling programs. We also use a Faro laser scanner to move coordinate systems into the computer.
The speed of technological advancement,
That's where the magic happens.
it's really kind of a big deal.
If you are trying to think of something absolutely out of the box, we'll find a way to make it work as long as it's safe and clear and it helps the pilot.
Every day is a challenge and every day I'm learning new things.
You just keep seeing different things.
It's fun, it's changing.
You're really getting after it, you're really having fun.
You can be creative.
This is a challenging career.
There's always a new challenge or opportunity.
It's driven by a lot of passion.
It's amazing what we can do.
It feels like family.
We've experienced tremendous growth in the general aviation industry over the past 5-10 years. We are set up to continue that growth well into the future.
It creates jobs up and down the line.
These are really good skilled jobs.
It really is a huge economic driver.
General aviation has a huge impact on our local economy.
It's always the cool factor associated with the aviation industry.
It's cool.
My daughters are like, when we see one, it's so cool, It's like, yeah, your dad makes those.
At the heart of everything, general aviation connects people.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the International President and CEO of Garmin, Cliff Pemble, the Junior U.S. Senator from Kansas, Jerry Moran, the President and CEO of the General Aviation Manufacturers Association, Pete Bunce, the Business Aircraft President of Bombardier, David Coleel, and the U.S. Representative from Kansas's 4th Congressional District, Ron Estes.
Guess that means it's my turn. Welcome, everyone. It's really a thrill to see all of you in this great new facility. Isn't this exciting? Yeah. I want to extend a special welcome to our friends from the General Aviation Manufacturers Association who organized this rally. GAMA, as it is known, is an advocacy group for the general aviation industry. Garmin is a member of GAMA, and Phil Straub, who is our aviation segment leader, is currently serving as its chair. The video you just saw was produced by GAMA and features people employed in the general aviation industry, including many people from Garmin. I'm sure you recognize them. It's particularly inspiring to me, as your CEO, to see our coworkers expressing in their own words why they love working in this industry. So nearly 2 years ago, we gathered in the plaza area outdoors there when it was much warmer to announce the largest expansion project in Garmin's history. At the time, I told you that we would invest approximately $200 million over a period of 4 years to significantly expand our aviation production, to expand our North American distribution footprint, and to provide future growth so that we can hire more people here in Olathe. As you can see, we've made significant progress on our plan. People who aren't familiar with Garmin often ask why we choose to invest in aviation. To some, aviation is routine and not remarkable. General aviation is often dismissed as unimportant, and it's stigmatized as an industry that serves the privileged few. But anyone who holds these views, I believe, is simply uninformed. General aviation helps companies conduct business in places that would be difficult or impossible to reach by commercial air carriers. General aviation helps transport sick and injured people to hospitals for treatment. General aviation is often the only logistical link for small communities, for people that live and work in those areas. And general aviation provides individuals and families additional transportation options when security, time, or destination is important to them. But mostly, general aviation provides enjoyment to people who own, fly, and care for the aircraft that they are passionate about. This is what general aviation represents, and we are proud to serve this industry. We will always be proud to serve this industry. We're energized by the opportunities it provides us, and we're looking forward to a bright future providing great products for our customers. It's a special honor today to have several members of Congress with us and our Lieutenant Governor. We'll hear from each of them throughout the program today, starting first with Senator Jerry Moran. Jerry Moran has been a huge supporter of the general aviation industry, and he's been a good listener to Garmin on matters of importance to our business. So welcome, Senator Moran. Thank you for supporting this industry, and please come and share with us today. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I can tell you that your perspective changes, which is probably a good thing. When I arrived here, I thought I was receiving a standing ovation. When I sat down, I discovered that none of you have chairs. So thank you for, at least for the moment, for making me feel welcome. It's a delight to be here at Garmin International. It is a pleasure to be here at this new facility and to congratulate Cliff and the team for their commitment to our state and to the city of Olathe. To the mayor, to Mayor Copeland, thank you very much for the commitment that Olathe makes to the well-being of its citizens, but in that process making sure that there are employment opportunities of a wide-ranging way for the folks who live in this part of Johnson County. And to the Lieutenant Governor, to the state of Kansas for their commitment. Tracy, thank you for the state of Kansas's commitment to general aviation, exemplified here today at Garmin International. You know, I have a goal for Kansas. In many ways, it doesn't necessarily have to do with the federal government or Congress. I want Kansas to be a place that those individuals who are interested and love science and mathematics and engineering have not only a place to receive an education and training, but a place to pursue a career and raise a family. That is represented by general aviation here in Olathe, but across our state. I also have a goal that rural parts of Kansas are alive and well, and the way of life that we enjoy in places across our state are around for another generation. And general aviation is a way that those places can connect with the rest of the world. General aviation brings those two goals together. If we can continue to educate a workforce and to train individuals who are captured by science and engineering and mathematics and computers, Kansas has a bright future. If we can continue to create opportunities for rural communities, and general aviation does that because that general aviation airport connects that small town in Kansas and across the country with the rest of the world. It means that we can access health care. It means that a manufacturing business in a small town in Kansas can bring in their customers and bring in parts and fly out their salesmen and women to service the world. Kansas in the middle of the country is a place that has to connect with the entire globe. And we do that so often in so many instances because we have general aviation across our state. I always think in Washington, D.C., and I've tried to put myself in a position to be an advocate, a strong advocate for general aviation. And by saying general aviation, what I mean is, it's like when elected officials, politicians often say, we want economic development or economic growth. What we want are more jobs, better jobs, higher paying jobs, more secure jobs, so that people can put food on their family's table, raise their kids, save for their retirement, and educate their children. We can do that in Kansas in large part because of general aviation. People think I'm a general aviation supporter because we are the air capital of the world. It's true. More general aviation manufacturing here in Kansas than any place else. But general aviation is also a way that we bring the world to Kansas and we take Kansas to the world in communities across our state. From Olathe to Wichita, from Winfield to Chanute, this is a place in which general aviation jobs are honored and supported. We've had some successes. FAA reauthorization is now in place to take effect. We have a few months now to complete its passage, and the contentious issues seem to be behind us, and it sets the stage for an even brighter future for general aviation. We will continue to work harder to make certain that education and training, workforce training, is available in Kansas and across the country so that we have the workforce that can compete in the global economy. And the efforts that were underway now to expand our opportunities into NASA and space exploration and aerospace, even beyond general aviation, will blend itself to collaboration in our state to create greater opportunities for all Kansans. It's an honor to be here to support an industry that makes a difference in the lives of Kansans every day. I thank the employees and the people in this room who support general aviation, who go to work every day to make the world a better place and to make Kansas a desirable place to live. Honored to join you. Thank you for your support of general aviation, and let's see the world in a new airplane every day. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Senator Moran. I'm Pete Bunce. I'm the head of the General Aviation Manufacturers Association. I just want to take a second to talk about this statesman that just was up here on the stage. And I mean that word statesman in the best sense of the word. I had a chance to meet Senator Moran when he was Congressman Moran 18 years ago. And it was at a field hearing for the Aviation Subcommittee. And here's a gentleman who was not on the subcommittee but testifying about how the supply base within the state of Kansas just permeates the entire economy in this state, and what a great impact it has on the quality of life and the economic vitality of the state of Kansas. And I knew from the first second that he started speaking when he was testifying how well he understood this industry. And you just heard from the senator how important he is to us. So we recently had a major fight going on with FAA reauthorization. And we were really worried that what was being proposed, a privatization of the air traffic control system, was going to debilitate our industry. And we are sure that it would have. It would have spelled the death knell, as it has in many countries, for a very vital and vibrant general aviation industry. Well, there was one man that led the charge in the House and Senate, and with the help of great people in the industry like Cliff and Phil and David, who stepped forward to be able to say, no, you don't understand how the system works and how well it works. When we get on an aircraft, we can be assured to have a safe journey, and it works very well. But we had strategy sessions with the senator, and we were able to plot what ultimately was victory in being able to go and make people realize, don't ruin exactly the system that makes aviation and aerospace so important to this nation. So having someone like Senator Moran is an example of what we are trying to do with these rallies. After the economic downturn and the Great Recession started, I got together with my great friend, Ed Bolin, and Ed is here with his brother, a true Kansan, both of them, representing the National Business Aviation Association. We said, we've got to do something. We've got to be able to tell the story about this industry, and we've got to work it at the grassroots level and the grass tops level. We've got to be able to emphasize to legislators how important it is. And so our component of what we call no plane, no gain was to be able to have rallies like this and get people together. But we have a lot of very important folks here, leaders at the local, state, and federal level, but really the VIPs are each and every one of you. Because I can't tell you how powerful it is when a politician can look out at voters out there that are building things, that are doing things with their hands and their minds that propel this industry. And the United States is an aerospace nation, and you all make it happen. And so this is our 16th rally that we've been able to do this at, and it keeps growing in importance. And to be in such a fine facility and have such a workforce, and we don't normally get the luxury to look out at folks that are young. And there are a lot of young folks in this crowd. But you noticed in the video that we put forward to the entire aviation press and the industry back in February of this year, what we want to emphasize in this industry is the most important thing we do and the most precious thing we do is not those beautiful machines that we put in the air that fly around the planet. It's each and every one of you. And I think that's what we want to emphasize to everybody, is that you are the core of this incredible, incredible industry. And so it's just exciting for us to be able to go and talk about it. Today, we had hoped to have Senator Roberts with us. He came down with the flu this morning, so he absolutely sends his regrets and his best wishes to you all, and we hope he gets better very soon. We have Chad Tenpenny representing the Senator's office, who's here with us today. Also, Congressman Kevin Yoder, who was instrumental in our work to be able, on the ATC privatization fight, working with all the House appropriators to be able to get our position passed through. He's on a congressional trip overseas, but he passes his best regards. We are very fortunate to have from the Kansas Department of Commerce, Secretary Bob North is with us today. Also from the Department of Transportation, Director of Aviation, Bob Brock. And then also we have Olathe City Councilwoman Karen Brownlee is here with us today, and several members of the Kansas State Legislature. So you can see how important this is to everyone to be able to talk about this industry. So the next person that I'd like to introduce to you is somebody that's got great connections with Kansas and a true great friend of mine, a pilot who is the head and the president of business aviation in Bombardier in Montreal. Before going up to Montreal, he was at Spirit Aerosystems in Wichita, running all the production for Boeing jets and the regional jets that Spirit does. And before that, he ran the Learjet facility in Wichita. And before that, he was working as president of Cirrus Design. And one of the projects that he worked on just won the Collier Trophy, which is a new jet that company has produced. So deep roots in aviation and deep connection to Kansas. So if you'll help me welcoming David Khalil.
Thank you, Pete. It's a very kind introduction. So good morning, everybody. It's really with great pleasure I'm back here in Kansas, and as Pete mentioned, I have a lot of personal history, not only with the great state of Kansas and Wichita, but with Garmin over 10 years ago. Worked as Cirrus Design to actually put the Garmin glass in the cockpit. And then when I came to Learjet, I said, hey, we need Garmin glass in the Learjet, and we launched the Lear 75 program, and we're first to certify a Part 25 aircraft with Garmin. And with that, have several hundred hours, please, And I'm proud to say I got several hundred hours behind learning how to fly in a glass cockpit, and all the user pilots that flown in a six-pack, glass is way better. So I also want to thank Cliff. I knew Cliff when he was a young engineer leading the engineering division, so it's great to see Cliff and how he's progressed, and congratulations on the brand new distribution center. It's a big deal when you have something like this, and it just shows with the leadership you have at Garmin and the support you have from the industry, you can grow like this, so it's tremendous. I also want to acknowledge Senator Pat Roberts, who couldn't make it today, Senator Jerry Moran, Congressman Ron Estes, Lieutenant Governor Tracy Mann, Mayor, and other dignitaries present. I think it shows with their presence what a great industry we have. And for me, creating a place where aerospace can really flourish. And I've been in the trenches with these men and women and how they really advocate for us. So I really want to thank you for all your efforts and being with us today. Most of all, I want to thank all of you for joining. Today's a great turnout. It's a testament to the passion we have for aerospace industry, the jobs it creates in Kansas, as well as across our nation. So as a business leader, I wanted to share my thoughts on Kansas, why it's important to Bombardier, and a strong desire to do business here, because I have to make decisions where to put work all the time. We all share the same commitment to ensure the success of our local aerospace industry. Kansas is a very special place. It carries a long-standing aviation history, and over the years, we built a world-class expertise, like many of you here, and created a strong community. And I want to commend and thank all of you on your talent, commitment, and unwavering support for our industry. Every day, your work contributes to making the world a smaller place by helping families, friends, and businesses connect more easily than ever before. Our industry is multifaceted and offers a variety of career opportunities and spans the gamut of aerospace skill sets. A great example is my own Bombardier site in Wichita, a facility that's been part of the aviation heritage since its inception in 1962, a year before the first Learjet 23 took flight. The Wichita leadership team is here with me today, and I want to recognize them for making the trek up here, and thank you for being on my team. So. As Senator Moran mentioned, our collective team's work in Kansas has allowed us to create an iconic industry, namely the GA capital of the world, and one of only a few aerospace clusters in the world. And I say that with really importance. Aerospace clusters, they occur organically, and it takes a long period of time, and it's easy to lose them. So protecting these aerospace clusters and what we have here is incredibly important. But more than that, the Kansas aerospace industry has provided fulfilling careers and livelihood for tens and thousands of people over the years. In fact, almost 1,000 of our Learjet employees have retired with more than 20, 30, 40, and 50 years of service. Finding an industry that can deliver a career that can last a lifetime is something that's becoming very rare. But in the aerospace industry, we find it common. Spending a career in aviation is possible due to the diverse job opportunities, and to that end, our Wichita site has considerably expanded its diverse capabilities and become a key pillar from Bombardier's plans for the future. It's home to a growing maintenance center, which did over 1,500 maintenance events last year. It's also home to Bombardier's Flight Test Center, a highly technical and specialized organization of engineers and flight test pilots. It's also one of the largest of its kind in the world. Our Flight Test Center recently completed the C-Series certification and is currently certifying the largest business jet in the industry, my Global 7000. And one of the best kept secrets of our Center of Operation is our missionized aircraft group. In fact, our teams here in Kansas offer ongoing support to the U.S. Air Force through the Battlefield Airborne Communication Node, or the BACN program as it's known, utilizing the Global 6000 aircraft platform. And what I want to do is just take a second to recognize all our veterans and Curvis CERT members in the audience and thank you for your years of service. So thank you. As I announced last year, the Wichita site will welcome completions work for our interior of the Bombardier's Global 5000. This new program will represent the highest level of interior completion, and we're going to hire over 100 people in the Wichita area to take care of this platform. It's impressive what the site can do. And the Wichita site is, of course, best known for the production of the iconic Learjet aircraft, which is part of the fabric of the state of Kansas. Just last year, we celebrated the 3,000th delivery, a Learjet 75, which is the best one ever. And it's powered by a Garmin 5000 avionics suite, which is proudly manufactured right here in Olathe, Kansas. So thank you. Garmin that we're going to be offering what's called our 5000 Phase 3 upgrade, available in 2019, which paves the way for next-gen avionics capabilities for all our customers. So, in closing, Bombardier remains committed to the Wichita site, Kansas, and its products. We continue to invest in the future of our industry through continued partnerships with world-class organizations such as Wichita State, sorry for all you KU fans, NIAR and NCAT. And in short, our site's success is the success of the aerospace in Kansas. It's driven by passionate people. That passion and constant drive to innovate and contribute to our industry's resilience, and most importantly, it's ensured our aerospace sector remains the cornerstone of our state and our nation's economy. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And now I'd like to introduce Congressman Ron Estes to the podium.
Boy, it's great to look out here and see all of you that are here in support of general aviation. I represent, my district includes Wichita and South Central Kansas. We're really a heart of general aviation and inside the state of Kansas. One of the things we all know how important general aviation is, whether it deals with a manufacturing facility, a business that has sites in multiple locations, the lifeline for medical emergency supplies and activities. But that's not always the case in Washington. And one of the things that we have to keep ever vigilant, keep ever constant on is continuing to remind the folks that I work with how important general aviation is to not just the Kansas economy, but also the U.S. economy and the impact that it has in such a broad breadth. I have the opportunity to serve on the Education and Workforce Committee in the House. And one of the things that we're focusing on there is how do we make sure we have the educated workforce that can move forward and help continue the growth in this industry. We're looking now at several different bills that we've passed through Congress, trying to help make that workforce more viable, more productive, more available. We've done things like passing the supporting veterans in STEM, making sure that we focus on, as veterans return from their service, that they're able to get back into the workforce and actually leverage the skills that they developed in the military to help with our industry and help our country grow. We've also passed a Building Blocks in STEM Education Act, which focuses on how do we get more kids at a younger age to focus on STEM career path so that they can think through how they want to spend their career and start thinking about having an active, viable career in general aviation. We're looking at currently going through the higher education reauthorization process. We've got a bill being proposed. We call it the Prosper Act because what we're focusing on is how do we prepare individuals for a myriad of career choices. Instead of just focusing intentionally on a 4-year degree or getting a bachelor's degree and a career path there, we need to make sure that we encourage high school students as they're graduating to look at all of the options and have support for all of those options. Maybe it involves getting a bachelor's degree, maybe it involves getting an associate's degree, maybe it involves getting a technical degree or coming straight out of high school and going to work in a field. What we're seeing today, what you're seeing today is a shortage of the skilled workforce, and we want to make sure we continue to support that, continue that growth so that we have a vibrant, strong economy going forward and that we support general aviation. So I personally want to thank you for all you do to help support general aviation, help support our Kansas economy, help support our U.S. economy, and continue that effort. We're going to continue that fight in Washington to help the industry and help things grow. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chairman of GAMA and the Aviation Managing Director and Executive Vice President of Garmin, Phil Straub, Textron Aviation Executive Doug May, and the chairman and CEO of Yingling Aviation, Lynn Nichols.
Well, thank you everyone for being here. I look out among all of you, and I really see a lot of friends, a lot of colleagues. You know, I see you guys at the soccer fields with your kids. This is a family event. You might ask, why are we doing this? Pete asked if we would host a GA jobs rally. And we're kind of a low-profile company. We're a company that's here to serve. That's a saying that Gary Burrell, our founder, would say again and again. You know, we looked at David, we looked at Doug, customers here, we're here to serve. We just work hard and we do these things. But the reality is I go out in the field, and I'm in Washington, D.C., I'm working with our customers, I'm trying to promote general aviation. I realize it's a fragile industry. There's a lot of value to it, but you need to hear these messages. So we're out there promoting these messages, and we want everyone to hear it. And I wanted you to hear it because I'm uplifted when they talk about what this means to our state, our country, and how the U.S. pioneered powered aviation. So that's why you're here today. We want you to hear it. This is our 16th GA Jobs Rally, and it's exciting. We've been doing a similar forum as you've heard here, and this time we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to have a panel up here. We want to facilitate some interactive dialogue about issues and topics of importance to us. And with that, I want to introduce our panelists here. So I'm going to start here on the far left, your right, talk about Doug May. Doug is Vice President, Special Missions of Textron Aviation and Defense. He's been there since January, fairly recently. In this role, Doug oversees all special mission operations, including program management, configuration, and delivery. Prior to this, Doug was Vice President of Beechcraft and Cessna Aircraft Piston Line Aircraft Sales. Doug actually joined Cessna in 2006 as a senior flight test pilot. And over that duration, he eventually had responsibility for all of type ratings and remains active today. So Doug, we're thankful you can be here and appreciate you coming. I'm going to introduce Lynn immediately to my left now. Lynn is Chairman and CEO of Yingling Aviation. They're located on the Dwight D. Eisenhower Wichita Airport. They've got deep roots there. Yingling's been there since, well, they were the first Cessna authorized aircraft dealer in 1946, appointed to that function. Yingling is an FAA and European approved repair station. They service Macaulay, MT, Sensenich propellers, and they're a large aircraft parts distributor. They're also an avionics department and represent Honeywell, Rockwell Collins, and Garmin there. Yingling is growing over to over 125 employees in that location. So Lynn, we're thrilled and excited for you to be here. Thank you. And you've already heard from Pete Bunce a little bit. He's a very modest gentleman. I want to tell you just a little bit about him. He's been at GAMA since 2005. Prior to that, he spent 26 years in the United States Air Force. He's a United States Air Force Academy graduate. He flew F-15s and A-10s while in the military and commanded several large operational fighter units. You know, Pete, it's always a pleasure to work with you on promoting general aviation, and I'm thankful that you asked Garmin to host this today. So thank you, Pete. With that, gentlemen, I'm going to take a seat with you, and we're going to try to make this a good dialogue. So, Doug, I'm going to start with you.
Perfect.
Okay. Since the turn of the century, 2000 millennial here, we've had some great times. We've seen a lot of growth. From the Garmin side, we've seen the integrated flight decks permeate aviation all the way through into the lighter aircraft. But we've also had some headwinds. You know, 2008, the global economic crisis, things got hard. I think some might even say that we've maybe never fully recovered from that. So, but when I talk to people like you and David and others, I see this sense of optimism. I want you to tell me, what are you excited about in our industry?
Sure, and it's a great question. And before I start, I'd like to take the opportunity again to add my thanks to you and to everyone out here for hosting us and what
arguably is a world-class facility, so congratulations to Garmin on that. It is an exciting time in our industry, and every one of us should be optimistic about the future, and I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. First, in 2017 and continuing into 2018, we've seen an increase in the average daily utilization of aircraft, and that translates directly to increased activity, not only in our business, but for the industry. Pair that with new products that are available at companies like Textron, and whether that's the Citation Latitude or Longitude or the Cessna Denali or even the recently announced Cessna Sky Courier. Those products, not only in our company but in others, continue to drive innovation and growth. And when you expand that to beyond fixed-wing aircraft to rotary aircraft and the next generation in that arena, or the explosive growth and the considerations around the unmanned aerial vehicles, there's ample room to be optimistic with regard to products, right? Garmin plays a huge part in that, and for that we thank you. But in addition to that, as we move forward, there's reason to be optimistic. And another reason that I want to mention is, and we've heard that theme so far today, but I think it's critically important, so I want to say my thank you as well to the congressional delegation that's here. And that is that the change in the conversation at the national level that we've seen in the recent past, and the position that general aviation has been put in, a strength of position. And I want to thank you for your leadership, specifically the congressional delegation in partnership with GAMA and NBAA and others, around putting us in that position, because it has made a tangible difference, not only for Textron Aviation, but also for the industry. And so with all of that in mind, companies like ours are looking to the future through a lens of growth. And a big part of that lens of growth is shaping the workforce to enable that growth to continue. So that's exactly why we're here.
Thank you, Doug. Actually, I wrote an article for Aircraft Electronics Association a few months ago, and I said, I got into aviation about 25 years ago. I guess into the engineering side of things. And I said, I can't imagine a more exciting time to get into aviation. I think you came probably a little bit before that, but similar. But then I paused. And I actually said, no, I think the only other more exciting time could be right now, as you said, with the explosive growth we're seeing in opportunities and how general aviation will evolve. So thank you, Doug. Lynn, I'm going to turn to you next.
Okay.
You own and operate a business with deep roots in Wichita, as we said. You provide traditional services such as aircraft handling, fuel services, maintenance, avionics, repairs, interiors. I think you're even extending to paint. You just do a lot of things. When I go there, I think one of the unique things is your pilot shop. You know, it sounds strange, but a lot of FBOs don't have pilot shops, and it creates a unique ambiance and environment there. Another unique one that is probably the highlight for a lot of people is you're the only FBO with a Subway cafe in their location. So when I visit, I think you've got a place like no other, is my point. And I see when I visit a smile and enthusiasm on everyone's face. The people that greet me at the front desk, the people, I've taken my own airplane there to have you work on it, you probably don't even know it, and just the way they worked with me, right? They're great there. So tell me why this industry is an attractive career for your employees and for people that will be entering the workforce in the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, thank you, Phil, for all the nice comments and so forth. And before I answer your question, I do want to just take a personal moment and say congratulations to Cliff and you and the entire Garmin team for the invitation to come here and speak with you and be a part of it. You know, whenever you see a capital investment like this structure here, you know that it's also going to create jobs. So, you know, that's what it's kind of all about. I'm a G1000 pilot. I got several hours in that product, and I want to compliment the engineers and the manufacturing and so forth, to everybody that's involved in that. The way you take data and format it in a presentation for pilots to view is just terrific. It reduces the workload in the cockpit when you fly, but probably moreover, it enhances the safety of flight. And for you folks to come up with innovative products like that the market I know is buying, my hat's off to you, and I want to thank you. Now to answer your question, we're downstream with the products that Doug, Textron Aviation, and David Bombardier build. So we're there to support the aircraft, as well as to install and modify the aircraft where they want to enhance their avionics, for example. And the new products, for example, that Garmin has come out with, the NXI series, the GFC 500, the GFC 600, these products are driving a lot of new activity. And as a result, the effect that it has on Yingling Aviation is we have to hire more people because we're getting more business. So what that translates to is as the economy improves, our activity improves in general aviation, and it eventually filters down to where we're creating jobs. There's a shortage, no doubt, as it relates to skill sets that we all are competing for. Avionics technicians, electricians, sheet metal, composite layup and repair, aircraft and power plant mechanics. So right now there is a shortage. So if you're in the business, and I presume everybody's in the business that's here right now, you're in a good place. You're wanted, you're needed, and it will continue to improve as the economy continues to get traction, which I think we all believe the forecasts are for that to get better. So I see our challenge right now with the company is trying to harness and bring that talent into the company. I do have to admit that as this baby boomers are retiring, we're also creating more space for you as well. So the job is obviously to get the talent there to where you can backfill for some of us that will be leaving in the next few years. So I think the future is bright, not only now, but certainly over the next 5 to 10 years.
Thank you, Lynn. Absolutely. Well, Pete, we're going to turn to you. This is the first time that Garmin's hosted a general aviation jobs rally, and it's exciting. I mean, I got to tell you, we've got local, we've got state, we've got federal level governmental involvement, engagement here. Our colleagues from industry, David and Doug and Lynn and others. It's just exciting. The one surprise I had in this is I underestimated the level of interest for participation. So tell me, what do you think drives this broad interest in our industry, and what drives that broad political support we have?
Well, Phil, when I think about what it must have been like to live in this state back in the 20s and 30s, when you had the Clyde Wallaces and the Olive Beaches of the world and guys with names like Boeing and everything, building new product. And then you see what Garmin has been able to do to revolutionize glass panel technology. But then what's in front of us right now? I don't think that folks realize out there the energy that is behind this new type of aviation, which is going to be electric and hybrid based, a lot of autonomous or simplified vehicle operations, and big dollars and huge companies that are behind it, and it's a worldwide movement. And this nation and this state is going to be a key player in all of that. So there's energy built, but it's also things that have been done to help us. Congressman Estes, Senator Moran, Senator Roberts played a key role in the tax package of being able to give us accelerated depreciation. And if those of you that pay attention to the industry can think back just a few years ago where we thought we would lose it all, the ability to depreciate our products in a normal schedule. And now we've got an accelerated method, which is also spurring the growth that Doug talked about. And then we've got just innovative leaders. We've got Todd Winters and Chuck Perkins out here in the audience who run companies in Wichita that are all part of this revolution of not only being able to upgrade older aircraft with modern technology, a lot of it built right here on this campus, but then to be able to lead the way in being able to figure out with this new industry how they're going to get through the certification process and use electric type of new battery technology and new instrumentation and designs to propel and be able to get these machines into the national airspace structure. And I truly believe that 5 years from now, we're going to be seeing urban mobility and electric type of regional operations that we didn't even think about 10 years ago. So it's an exciting time.
Huge opportunity ahead of us. It's opportunity is what it is. Okay, and keep us on track. Maybe I'm going to go to each of you, but I'd like to maybe make it a fairly brief response if you could. But I want to wrap up on a question that is important. It's important to our industry, I think, that we make a positive impact on our communities, particularly helping those in need and offering resources to help develop the future workforce of aviation. There's a lot of organizations. Pete, you're involved in Veterans Airlift, Corporate Angel Network, Angel Flight. I know one of our employees is involved in Pilot and Pause. There's just a wide range of things you can do. So my question, and I'll start with Doug, is why don't you tell me about your organization, the broad and the feedback and what they do to serve the community and what you see our overall GA industry doing to give back to the community?
Sure, I think that's a hugely important aspect of the conversation and really a piece of a corporate culture that is near and dear to Textron Aviation. But Textron Aviation is really expending a lot of energy and resource into reaching deeper into the talent pipeline. And that really starts not at the collegiate level, but in the grade school level and in middle schools and in high schools, and then it carries through. And I don't think that we've done a good job historically of that. And that shows in a lack of awareness. We talked about it earlier. Some of the conversation was around a misperception outside of Kansas and quite frankly inside Kansas as to what opportunities are available in general aviation. And so what we're doing is going back really to the basics. And in many regards, we're doing simple things like opening our doors for tours for young people and providing shadowing opportunities and really increasing our sponsorships of great programs like GAMA's Build-A-Plane or Kansas Best Robotics or even Skills USA. All in an effort to make sure that there is an awareness at a base level in the general population such that the real potential within general aviation is at least on people's radars, for lack of a better way to say it. But in addition to that, there are other programs specifically for educators where we're doing externships, right, instead of internships. But we're allowing educators to come into our facility for a period of time during the summer so that they can become more aware of the full breadth of general aviation and take that back into the classroom at all levels and really become ambassadors for general aviation. So we're involved a lot in that. And so it's methods like that we're really reaching into the workforce and providing an awareness, because we've all heard, I think, a lot about a pilot shortage, right? And from my perspective in the OEM, I think having activity and responsibility across the entire spectrum of aviation, it's a very important conversation to have around the pilot shortage, and that will be important going forward. But it goes well beyond that, and I would venture a guess that all of us in aviation today represent well in excess of 100 different skill sets, all of which are required to bring together this thing called general aviation. So those are a few of the examples of what we're doing.
Thank you, Doug. Lynn, how about you?
Well, at Yuengling, we're pretty active as it relates to workforce development within the community. I've been a part of the economic development team there in Wichita for several years now. And one of the things we realized, certainly after 2008, after the credit crisis and the Great Recession, was really had its grip on not only the nation, but certainly Wichita and the state of Kansas, was we really put a full court press on how do we keep companies growing in our communities, as well as what can we do to bring new employers to the state as well. And one of the things that's very critical is all of our strategies, all of our programs that have to do with retention and expansion, as well as workforce development, is that the city, the county, the state, our friends from Washington, D.C., and most importantly, the private sector, we're working very collaboratively and making sure that everything that we're doing is focused on one thing, and we're working in unison, one voice, to have maximum impact. And that's working. Recently, I just came off the board of the Wichita Area Technical College, also known as National Center of Aviation Training. And we just merged that organization, 4,500 student enrollment, into Wichita State University. And what that has created is there's many people that don't feel like they want to have a higher education, but they want a trade skill. So we go into the tech side of the business, and you can do sheet metal, aircraft power plant, nursing. There's a whole host of curriculum that's available that helps you allow what type of career and profession you want to do. But what's cool about this merger with Wichita State University, the soft collision between the two, is once you, for example, get started as an avionics tech, and you get involved, you're learning more and so forth, and maybe you're in there for about a year and a half and you think, you know, I kind of like this. Well, now, and I know I'm in KU territory, but when you enroll, you're immediately a shocker. But that year and a half into that tech school, if you feel like you like to broaden and move into engineering, whether it's electrical or whether it's structures, whatever it might be, there's a pathway for you. So couple that with joining into the private sector, companies like Textron Aviation, Yingling, Spirit, so forth. We have intern programs available. And when you're enrolled as a student and you're looking for a job, you pretty much have got a job because the school is now working with the employers. And it's just a nice, smooth handoff. You go from the school, get your certification, or you go on to higher education if that's a path that you might want to take. But then if you're done, move right into a job. So it's a win-win situation for not only the community, but certainly for the student, for the employers, and everybody involved.
I think that Wichita model, NCAP, there will probably become a model for the nation to follow that way, and it's a great lead-in, yeah. Well, Pete, we're going to turn to you last, and you know, GAMA advocacy is a huge part of what GAMA does, and I know you're very passionate about many elements there. The high school build-a-plane is maybe just one example, but what would you like to highlight in these last minute or two here about GAMA advocacy?
Well, I think we're tremendously excited about what has been worked with in the education and workforce arena. With what Congressman Estes is putting forward is something that is so critically important to us. I mean, a lot of young people are graduating with insurmountable debt in a lot of ways from college now, and yet we have companies that say, come to us. You may not need that degree right up front, but if you work hard, we're going to be able to facilitate you being able to go and continue your education after you go and get some more skills under your belt. And so, but it doesn't stop there. I know Senator Moran is very interested in veterans issues. And our companies are very well known as being some of the most outreach to veterans and the most positive environment for them to be able to transition very quickly for the skills that they had working in the U.S. military to be able to transition into our companies. So each one of these has a great touch point. But then the other thing that where our industry gives back in ways that a lot of people don't realize is just the huge generosity of corporate America that I think is so much centered in aerospace. Last night we had a conversation just between Doug and Lynn about what they're doing for Boys and Girls Clubs in Wichita, and really the key fundraiser for that organization becomes these gentlemen right here. And I know Garmin does the same thing here in Olathe, and each and every one of our companies is that pillar of philanthropic giving that just permeates throughout our country, and it becomes all the more important as we move forward, because it does really let people know what a tremendous industry this is and that they should be a part of it.
Thank you, Pete. And I think with that, we're going to wrap up our panel discussion, but I hope that's provided some insight into the issues and things that we're working on in general aviation. So Doug, Pete, Lynn, thank you for being part of this panel.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Mayor of Olathe, Michael Copeland, the Lieutenant Governor of Kansas, Tracy Mann, and Cliff Pimble.
Okay, we're coming into our final segment here, and I have the pleasure of introducing our Mayor of Olathe. Mayor Copeland is now serving in his 5th term as the City of Olathe Mayor. He's been serving since 2001. He served as an at-large council member and mayor pro tem from 95 to 2001. He was first elected to the Olathe City Council as Ward 4 Community Council member in 93. So the mayor clearly has a long history of public service to the community. And I want to share something just a little bit personal about our relationship with Olathe. You know, and I bet Cliff doesn't even remember this when I mention it, but we were in a meeting one time and we were talking about some civic involvement things we were doing. And we had a conflict of interest in terms of time, dates, and what we could support in one area versus Olathe, another area. And Cliff made the comment, Olathe is our home. We've got to support that, right? So as I talk to you about this being family, the city of Olathe and the mayor, they've been with us through good times and expansions. I mean, look around us here, what we're going through. These are fun times to celebrate. But they've also been with us in hardship and sorrow. And so with that, I just want to emphasize, this is a community. We're very much appreciative of what Olathe has done for us, and we're appreciative of the leadership of the mayor. So with that, Mayor Copeland, please come to the podium.
Well, that's very, very nice. Thank you so much. Well, good morning, everybody. Greetings on behalf of my colleagues on the Olathe City Council and the nearly 140,000 people who call Olathe home. It's a great honor to be here this morning in support of General Aviation Manufacturers Association, our elected officials, industry leaders, and of course, Olathe's own Garmin International. Clearly, the aviation industry has a major impact on our nation's economy, and of course, it's certainly critical to our great state of Kansas. But I'm here to share a different perspective and what it means to local communities like Olathe. Olathe is in the heart of America, and we've been one of America's fastest growing cities for the better part of 3 decades. Our city is consistently ranked and rated as one of the country's best places to live by regional and national publications. Our quality of life, job opportunities, pro-business culture ensure we enjoy citizen satisfaction levels among the very highest in America. Our success is mirrored in the excellence of our public schools and exceptional higher education institutions. Our progress is driven by our commitment to excellence and to building a world-class community. At the heart of all we celebrate are companies like Garmin, Global Ground Support, Honeywell, Horizon Aerostructures, and many other manufacturers and businesses that are directly and indirectly tied to aviation. Olathe is in the broader aviation business and particularly in the general aviation business. These companies and thousands of families they support understand that building a great city is about building the community spirit that makes us exceptional. They are the corporate partners who are the essential part and the very fabric of who we are. They are represented in our schools, in our places of worship, and in our charities. They nurture all that make us great, and they foster the very essence of community that allows us to accomplish so much together. No community partner has embodied that spirit better than Garmin, a name synonymous around the world with innovative, cutting-edge navigation and communication technology. Creativity, passion, and an unwavering commitment to excellence are Garmin's hallmarks, and we are immensely proud they call Olathe home. We celebrate the recognition Garmin has brought us and the important role they have played in our tremendous growth and success. But there's a whole lot more to their legacy for our community. Time and again, we have benefited from the time and talents Garmin's employees, Garmin leaders so generously share with us, and not only in leadership positions, but behind the scenes in many countless ways. Garmin contributes not only to our economic prosperity, but to the health and well-being of our city, making a lasting and positive impact on countless Olathans. They understand that those who give back form the backbone, the very heart and soul of our community. Garmin exemplifies vision and dedication and have made a better place on this planet, and that form the foundation for our success in the future. I'm proud to welcome all of you to our community, and I'm especially proud with so many of you who make Olathe the very special place it is today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Copeland. We have been part of this community now for over 20 years, and in many ways, Olathe has played a vital role in shaping who we are as a company. So thank you, Mayor Copeland. Thank you, City Council members. Thank you, city leaders, for hosting Garmin. We love being part of this city, and we thank you for all you do for us. Well, now it's my privilege to introduce Lieutenant Governor Tracy Mann to you today. Lieutenant Governor Mann is a fifth-generation Kansan. How many can say that? But he hails from the northwest part of the state, and I think in his communities, he's very aware of the importance of general aviation to those small communities. So please join me in welcoming Lieutenant Governor Tracy Mann.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you to Garmin and for GAMA for putting this on. I am well aware that we are almost an hour of you all standing, and I also am aware that a lot has been said, but not everyone has got to say it yet. And so I'm going to keep my comments very brief, but it's great to be here. When I'm not our Lieutenant Governor, I am a commercial real estate agent, and I focus on industrial properties. And so to walk through this 750,000 square foot brand new facility and get to sit in that chair and look at it is truly a privilege for me. I bring greetings from our governor, Governor Jeff Collier. He regrets that he was not able to join us this morning. We spoke last night. Rest assured that our governor is well aware of the importance of general aviation to the Kansas economy and the economic impact that this facility and that Garmin has to this region. So I bring greetings from him as well. I will be very brief. I've been asked to talk about the economic impact of general aviation to the state of Kansas. And it's hard to be brief because the economic impact to our state is huge. We all know that. I'm going to give you 3 quick stats, and then I want to talk a little bit about the human impact of general aviation to Kansans. First off, the industry in Kansas, general aviation, supports 90,000 jobs and a payroll of over $4.4 billion. This impact is huge and is growing every day. As Cliff mentioned earlier, I come from an ag background, having grown up in Quinter, which is in western Kansas, and I understand how important aviation is to Kansas agriculture. Kansas farmers feed the world, and our farms have over $1.5 billion in crop value that's added through airport operations every year, mostly through aerial applications. Aviation in this state generates $20.6 billion in economic benefit for our state every year. This can grow by not only addressing the workforce issues of today, but by educating our youth on the issues of tomorrow. And beyond the economic impact, though, I want us to pause for a moment to think about the human impact that general aviation has on Kansans. Just today, this morning, I was on the phone with a friend of mine. I live in Salina. I was asking him, what are you going to do today? And he said, well, later on this morning, I'm going to get on our company's plane and I'm going to fly to Oklahoma City, where we're opening up a new location. And then I'm going to fly to Dallas, where we are looking at a new location there, and then I'm going to make it home to Salina tonight. His ability to look at these facilities and look at expanding his business to other states is allowed by general aviation, and those dollars, the profits from that, will flow back into the Kansas economy, dramatically impacting people in my hometown of Salina. Another example is later on this morning, I'm going to leave here and I'm going to go to the executive airport and going to fly to Pratt with various members of the Kansas state government, but also our guest is Bill Northey, who is the U.S. Department of Agriculture Undersecretary, because we're going to show him some of the drought-stricken wheat fields and other challenges that we have due to this drought in Kansas. Because of that, the drought that's impacting our state and the plight and the negative impact that is to our Kansas farmers will be lessened by letting the Undersecretary of Agriculture know and see that firsthand. That trip does not occur without general aviation and the avionics that are produced by Garmin. And lastly, another great human example is I'm from a rural community where we don't have a very large hospital. It's better than most, but it's not large enough. And as many of you know, if you travel through rural Kansas, if a medical emergency happens, many times a person cannot receive the medical care at that facility locally that they need, and so they're life-flighted to another hospital. That does not happen without general aviation. So as you do what you do here at Garmin, and you're part of this general aviation industry in Kansas, I ask that you remember that today, what you do impacts Kansans as companies become more profitable here. It impacts today, will positively impact the plight of our farmers who are struck by a drought. And it's not a stretch to say that literally today it will save lives. What you do is important. Thank you for all your work. Garmin, thank you for this investment in this facility. Have a good day.
Well, thank you, Governor. It's very obvious that whether you're talking at the local, the state, the federal level, that those that represent us really understand this industry and they're for us. But one of the things that I like to do, and I just got back from New Zealand and I was given a brief and I was talking about disruptive change in the industry, and I showed them a graph of what can happen when we introduce disruptive change. And I used the graph of back in 2008, virtually every piston aircraft was built with the old, what we call steam gauges, round gauges out there. And here we sit in 2018, there's virtually nothing except some hobbyists that like to fly those antique aircraft. There's virtually nothing produced on the planet that doesn't have glass panel technology. You all led that revolution. But how cool is it to be associated with an industry that you can say, I led a revolution, but then I saved lives. And you do that each and every day, because as a pilot, and I can tell you every single pilot out here will attest to it, when you can show somebody a presentation of where they are in space, that they don't have to mentally calculate, okay, where was that mountain when I'm in the radar pattern in the weather? Or I can see the weather out there where I couldn't see it before, and I had to visualize these things that the FAA controller was telling me where these thunderstorm buildups were. That saves lives. So be proud of each and every contribution that you give to this incredible industry, but more importantly, be our ambassadors. Go out there and tell your friends, when you go back and talk to your schools or you talk to your family members, talk about the importance of this industry and how cool it is to be making something with your hands and your mind that go and save lives, because it does have a great impact, and our future, as we've talked about all throughout this morning, is absolutely bright. So Cliff, Phil, thank you so much for hosting this today, and for all of you, our elected officials, thank you so much for being with us. Have a great one. Thank you.